deliver a mission in your class. This mission is to make you fully understand the various content areas in ICT. The Mask Master is hoping for a successful mission, or else each one of you will be eliminated. Unit 4 reporters, prepare to launch.
Good day, everyone. The topic assigned to us, the theme for, is the ICT in various content areas. The lesson under this was equally divided to all the members of the group, and I am assigned to discuss the 21st century skills, specifically the digital literacy skills. By the way, I am Maria Laica Daga from BSNED ES21, and this is my presentation. 21st century skills is generally used to refer to certain some competencies such as collaboration, digital literacy, critical thinking, and problem solving that advocates believe schools need to teach to help students thrive in today's world. However, in a broader sense, the idea of what learning in the 21st century should look like is open to interpretation and controversy because it could defined in different ways. Students must develop strong critical thinking and interpersonal communication skills in order to be successful in an increasing fluid, interconnected, and complex world. One of the skills under 21st century skills is digital literacy skills. Digital literacy means having the skills you need to live, learn, and work in a society where communication and access to information is increasingly through digital technologies like internet platforms, social media, and mobile devices. It is really important now while you are a university student. It will also be really important in the future when you enter the professional world. In your workplace, you will be required to interact with people in digital environments, use information in appropriate ways, and create new ideas and products collaboratively. Above all, you will need to maintain your digital identity and well-being as the digital landscape continues to change at a fast pace. Digital literacy skills include media. Media is the plural form of medium, which broadly speaking describes any channel of communication. This can include anything from printed paper to digital data and encompasses art, news, educational content, and numerous other forms of communication. Anything that can reach or influence people, including phones, television, and the internet can be considered a form of media. There are several forms of media available today, although some have fallen into obsolescence already. First is the traditional media. Traditional media includes newspapers, journals, radio, television, magazine, and even billboards. Second is the digital media. Digital media, which makes up an increasing vast portion of modern communications, is comprised of intricately encoded signals that are transmitted over various forms of physical and virtual media, such as fiber optic cable and computer networks. Modern digital media include the internet as a whole, but on a more granular level, media is used to indicate websites, blogs, podcasts, videos, digital radio stations, and mobile phones, as well as the communication methods used to transmit data such as instant messaging, video calls, and emails. Next is the computer media. Computer media is a term that is often used in informations with several different meanings. It is used to describe the electronic devices used to store data, such as hard drives, USB drives, DVDs, CD-ROM, and floppy disks. More broadly, all technologies used to communicate information such as videos, pictures, sounds, and presentations are often referred to as media or multimedia. Another is the mass media. Mass media include all of those media channels which can reach a large number of people at the same time. Lastly is the social media. Social media consists of applications and websites used by people to share content in real time using their computers and smartphones. It allows everyone to share virtually any kind of information at the global level, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and many more. Media literacy is a 21st century approach to education. It provides a framework to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and participate with messages in a variety of forms from print to video to the internet. It builds an understanding of the role of media in society as well as essential skill of inquiry and self-expression necessary for citizens of democracy. Digital literacy skills also include information. Information in digital literacy skill require that students need to know to search accurately and then to evaluate the information they find. Our critical thinking guide will help us develop these skills. The student is tasked to read and to identify the information and to learn how in their own words to tell about what someone learned from the book or article during the research process in the requested writing assignment. Lastly, under digital literacy skills is the ICT literacy. ICT literacy is the ability to use of information and communication technology to define one's information problem clearly, access information efficiently, evaluate the reliability, authority, and bias of sources, communicate one's new ideas effectively and ethically with the appropriate ICT tools available.
Good morning, classmates. My name is Franchezca Erpe, and I will be discussing about instructional design models, mainly the Bloom's revised taxonomy and Gagne's 9 events of instruction. Instructional design is the process by which instruction is improved through the analysis of learning needs and systematic development of learning experiences. Instructional design can also be defined as the practice of creating instructional experiences to help facilitate learning most effectively. The first instructional design model that I will be discussing is Bloom's revised taxonomy. Bloom's revised taxonomy defines the 6 levels of cognitive learning, starting with the simplest at the bottom and moving up through the levels to the most complex or deepest learning. There are 6 levels of cognitive learning according to the revised version of Bloom's taxonomy. The first level in Bloom's revised taxonomy is remembering. Remembering is where we recall specific information such as dates, events, or definitions. In remembering, we recall or recognize relevant knowledge from a long-term memory. The next level is understanding. In here, we interpret, understand, predict, and summarize information. We demonstrate our comprehension through one or more forms of explanation. The third level in Bloom's revised taxonomy is applying. In applying, we are using concepts to solve, demonstrate, or classify new situations. Applying uses information or a skill in a new situation. Analyzing, and it is also the organizing and identifying patterns or components to explain situations. In analyzing, this is where we break the material into parts and we determine how these parts are related to one another. The fifth one is evaluating, and this is where we compare, assess, or judge concepts. In evaluating, we make judgments based on criteria and standards. And This is where we detect inconsistencies or fallacies within a process or product. And at the topmost of the 6 levels is creating, and creating is where we combine ideas or generalizing to predict or create new ideas. This is where we put elements together to form a new coherent or functional whole, or this is where we reorganize the elements into a new pattern or structure. The next instructional design model is Gagne's 9 events of instruction. Robert Gagne proposed a series of events that are associated with and address the mental conditions for learning. He identified the mental conditions needed for learning in adults. These 9 events of instructions are then addresses the conditions of learning and attention of the students. In here, we ensure that the learners are ready to learn and participate in activities by presenting a stimulus to capture their attention. A few methods for capturing the learner's attention may be stimulating the students with novelty, uncertainty, and surprise. We can also lead an icebreaker activity that will capture their attention. We can also have students pose questions to be answered by other students. The second one is we inform students of the objectives. Informing students of the objectives or outcomes of the course and individual lessons will help them understand what they are expected to learn and do. Providing objectives before instruction is crucial before beginning the lesson. Some methods for stating the outcomes may be describing the required performance. We can also describe criteria for standard performance. We can have learners establish criteria for standard performance, and we can include course objectives on assessment prompts. The third is we stimulate recall of prior learning. In here, we help students make sense of new information by relating it to something that they already know or something that they have already experienced. Numerous methods for stimulating recall may be asking questions about previous experiences. You can also ask students about their understanding of the previous concepts. We can relate the previous course information to the current topic. We can also have students incorporate prior learning into your current activities. The fourth is we present the content. In here, we use strategies to present in Q lessons and Q lesson content to provide more effective instruction. We can organize and group content in meaningful ways, which will provide explanations after demonstrations. There are ways to present NQ lesson content, such as presenting multiple versions of the same content. We can use videos, we can demonstrate, we can use lectures, we can use podcasts or group works. We can also use a variety of media to engage students in learning. We can also incorporate active learning strategies to keep students involved, and we can provide access to content on the Blackboard, so on different learning management systems, so students can access it outside of class. The fifth is we provide learning guidance. In here, we advise students of strategies to aid them in learning content and of resources available. In other words, in this instruction, we help students learn how to learn. So an example of providing learning guidance is we can provide instructional support as needed, such as scaffolding, and we can remove it slowly as the student learns and master the task or the content. We can also use examples and non-examples. Examples help students see what to do, while non-examples help students see what not to do. We can also provide case studies, visual images, analogies, and metaphors. Case studies provide real-world applications. Visual images assist in making visual associations, and analogies and metaphors use familiar content to help students connect with new concepts. The sixth is we elicit performance. In here, we have the students apply what they have learned to reinforce new skills and knowledge and to confirm correct and understanding of course concepts. One way of to activate learner processing is we facilitate student activities. We ask deep learning questions. We can have students collaborate with their peers, and we can also facilitate practical laboratory exercises. Another example is we can provide formative assessment opportunities such as written assignments, individual or group projects, and presentations. And we can also design effective quizzes and tests because testing students in ways that allow them to demonstrate their comprehension and application of course concepts is a great way of activating their learner processing. The seventh instruction is providing feedback. In here, we provide timely feedback of the student's performance that will assess and facilitate learning and will also allow students to identify gaps in understanding before it is too late. An example of feedback is confirmatory feedback, and we can inform in here we can inform the student that they did what they were supposed to do. Another example of feedback is evaluative feedback, where we appraise the student of the accuracy of their performance or response, but does not provide guidance on how to progress. Another type of feedback is remedial feedback, which directs students to find the correct answer, but does not provide the correct answer. Another step in Gagne's 9 step of instruction is we assess performance. Assessing performance will test whether the expected learning outcomes have been achieved on previously stated course objectives. One method for testing learning includes administering pre- and post-tests that will check their progression or their competency in the content or their skills. Another thing is we can implement a variety of assessment methods that will provide the students with multiple opportunities that will demonstrate their proficiency. And lastly, the ninth event in Gagne's 9 events of instruction is enhanced retention and transfer. In here, we help the learners retain more information by providing them opportunities to connect course concepts to potential real-world applications. One example of this is avoiding isolating course content. We should associate course concepts with prior concepts and build upon prior learning to reinforce connections. We can continually incorporate questions from previous tests and subsequent examinations to reinforce course information. And to promote deep learning, we must clearly articulate your lesson goals, use your specific goals to guide your instructional design, and align learning activities to lesson goals. So to summarize Gagne's 9 events of instruction, Gagne's 9 events of instruction helps build a framework to prepare and deliver instructional content while considering and addressing conditions for learning. Ideally, we should prepare course goals and learning objectives before implementing the 9 events. The goals and objectives will help situate the events in their proper context. The 9 events of instruction can then be modified to fit both the content and the student's level of knowledge.
Now, let's talk about the other instructional model design, the ADDIE model and the Merrill's first principle of instruction. Let's discuss First, the ADDIE model. ADDIE model is an instructional design model developed in the year 1970. It serves as a framework in designing and developing educational and training in order to create effective learning experiences. The ADDIE model is an acronym that stands for Analysis, Design, Development, Implementation, and Evaluation. The advantages of ADDIE model: commonly used and widely accepted model, proven to be effective for learning, foundation for other learning models, easy to measure time and cost. The disadvantages of ADDIE model: rigid linear process that must be followed in order, time-consuming and costly, inflexible to adopt unforeseen project changes, does not allow iterative design. The 5 steps of ADDIE process. Step 1. Analysis. Considered as the goal-setting stage, the instructors distinguish between what the students already know and what they should know after completing the course. There are questions in each stages that are considered by the facilitator in order to create effective learning to their target audience. These are the questions to consider during the analysis phase. Who your learners are. What are the overall goals you are trying to achieve? What is the overall knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors that need to be taught? What is the amount and level of necessary content? What resources are required and available? Next is step 2, design stage. This stage determined all goals, tools to be used to gauge performance, various tests, subject matter analysis, planning, and resources. The focus is on learning objectives, content, subject matter analysis, exercise, lesson planning, assessment instruments use, and media selection. Questions to consider during the design phase. How will the content and activities be sequenced, presented, and reinforced? What are the objectives of each session or unit? What skills or outcomes are you hoping to achieve for each? What methodology will you use to achieve each objective? What media or resources will be used in the instruction? How will you assess the students' understanding of the material? Next is step 3, the development stage. This stage starts the production and testing of the methodology being used in the project. The designers make use of the data collected from the 2 previous stages and use this information to create a program that will relay what needs to be taught to participants. This phase includes 3 tasks, namely drafting, production, and evaluation. Questions to consider during the development phase. How do I create a lesson plan? How should the content be organized? What instructor and student activities should be included? How do I provide practice for students? What media should I use when teaching? How can I present confirming and corrective feedback? Step 4. Implementation. The implementation stage reflects the continuous modification of the program to make sure maximum efficiency and positive results are obtained. Here is where IDs strive to redesign, update, and edit the course in order to ensure that it can be delivered effectively. Procedure is the key word here. Questions to consider during the implementation phase. How do I motivate students? How do I introduce the lesson? What kinds of questions are best to use? How do I use PowerPoint slides or other presentation media? How do I summarize and review each lesson or presentation? How do I use my time wisely during the lesson? The last step, 5. Evaluation. The last stage of the ADDIE method is evaluation. This is the stage in which the project is being subjected to meticulous final testing regarding the what, how, why, when of the things that were accomplished or not accomplished of the entire project. Throughout the evaluation phase, the designer should ascertain whether problems relevant to the training program are solved and whether the desired objectives are met. Now, these are the questions to consider during the implementation phase. How do I know if my course has been successful? Which experts should review the materials before a course is presented to the students? Which changes should be made to improve the course after it is presented? Now, let's talk about Merrill's principles of instruction. It is a problem-based theory founded by M. David Merrill, a noted educational researcher and teacher. He suggests that in order for effective learning, the learners should be able to learn and experience the information for them to apply it in the real world. The learner's experience should center on problem solving, which involves a multi-phase process of activation, demonstration, and integration. Merrill's principles highlight the learning is promoted when learners are engaged in solving real-world problems. Existing knowledge is activated as a foundation for new knowledge. New knowledge is demonstrated to the learner. New knowledge is applied by the learner. New knowledge is integrated into the learner's world. Advantages of Merrill's first principles of instruction. It is a concise model for the creation of learning experience. Focuses on the learner's success. The 4 phases encourage the facilitator to organize an instruction centered on motivating the learner's learning experience. The first principles will give the learner the opportunity to practice the lesson and implement what was learned into future experiences. Disadvantages. This theory is dependent on teaching styles and implementation, may vary among the learning environment. Now, the 5 principles of Merrill's principle of instruction. Principle 1. Problem-centered. Problem-centered learning is promoted when learners are engaged in solving real-world problems. Identifying a problem. The learners are provided by stimulations of real-life situations, allowing them to recall their past learning experiences for deeper understanding of the problem that needs to be resolved. Principle 2. Activation. Activation learning is promoted when existing knowledge is activated as a foundation for new knowledge. Linking knowledge. The learners will be able to build upon on what they already know to create schema to link the new knowledge. Principle 3. Demonstration. Demonstration or show me learning is promoted when new knowledge is demonstrated to the learner. show providing examples, visuals, and use of media in order to guide the students and deepen their understanding of the new knowledge presented to them. Principle for the application. Application or let me learning is promoted when new knowledge is applied by the learner. Applying, providing the learners multiple opportunities for problem solving tasks for them to apply and practice their new knowledge. The application phase should be accompanied by feedback and guidance that is gradually withdrawn as the learner's capacities increase and performance improves. Principle 5, Integration. Integration learning is promoted when new knowledge is integrated into the learner's world. I call this transfer. The learner should be able to reflect the new knowledge and recognize their own progress by demonstrating and sharing to their fellow learners, and most importantly, to apply it to the real world. That's it. Thank you so much for listening.
Good morning, everyone. I am Karen Almaden Estrella from BSNED ES21, and this discussion is all about ICT in various content areas. Specifically, we'll talking about the technology-enhanced teaching lesson exemplars. For us to understand more about the topic, let us first define what is technology-enhanced learning. Technology-enhanced learning, or TEL, is the use of technology, for example, computers, smartphones, interactive whiteboards, and etc., as a part of students' learning experiences. The term technology-enhanced learning is used to describe the application of technology to teaching and learning. It is a broad category that isn't particularly defined, but, in short, TEL is any technology that enhances the learning experience. The term can be used to describe both analog and digital technologies, but more recently, we see that digital technology-enhanced learning is taking over education in the form of different types of educational software, and TEL is transforming and enhancing education and educational institution beyond recognition. It also provides learning through collaborations and interactions with framework for content development and collaborative knowledge sharing system as a supplementary for learning to improve the quality of education system. Why use technology-enhanced learning? Technology-enhanced learning enhances accessibility, enable a variety of learning approaches, offer increased flexibility, support collaboration and communication, and it encourages the development of skills for digital age. It can be used alongside with face-to-face as blended learning or distance learning, and is very useful especially now that we are experiencing pandemic. Why is technology-enhanced learning and teaching important? Because it provides students easy to access information, accelerated learning, and fun opportunities to practice what they learn. It also enables students to adjust to their own pace of learning, and teachers or educators are no longer limited to the textbooks that their institutions provide. There are lots of examples of technology-enhanced tools for teaching lesson and inquiry-based learning, but here are some applications and websites used by educators and students for designing inquiry questions, identifying problems, planning projects, integrating assessments, assisting with the management and location or research materials, creating multimedia projects, and connecting with an audience. First, we have here Google Classroom. Google Classroom is a free blended learning platform developed by Google for school that aims to simplify creating, distributing, and grading assignments. The primary purpose of Google Classroom is to streamline the process of sharing files between teachers and students. Google Classroom enables teachers to create online classroom areas in which they can manage all the documents that their students need. Next, we have here Edmodo. Edmodo is an educational technology company offering a communication, collaboration, and coaching platform. The Edmodo company enables teachers to share content, distribute quizzes, assignments, and manage communication with the students, colleagues, and parents. This is a free learning platform that merges classroom content, safe communication, and assessment with the major social survey. It allows teachers to post a question or take a quick poll to assess students' understanding. Next, we have here Class Dojo. Class Dojo is an educational technology company. It connects primary school teachers, students, and families through communication features such as feed for photos and videos from the school day. Class Dojo is an example of online behavior management system intended to foster positive student behavior and classroom culture. Students earn dojo points based on their classroom conduct and performances. Teachers use this to keep the students' parents up to date about the progress of their children and the classroom happenings. Next is Zoom. Zoom is a cloud-based video communications app that allows you to set up virtual video and audio conferencing, webinars, live chats, screen sharing, and other collaborative capabilities. As the pandemic pushes work online, Zoom is the new office. Flipgrid is a website and an application that allows teachers to facilitate video discussion. It can be used by teaching in seemingly endless number of ways in their classroom to get clearer picture of what students know and where they need help. Teacher can create grid in Flipgrid and then post topics for their students to respond through video. In that way, teacher can determine the length of the students' submitted videos and can allow students to comment and react to their classmates' videos and can even share it through email, link, and etc. Kahoot is a game-based learning platform. It is used as an educational technology in schools and other educational institutions. Its learning games Kahoots are user-generated multiple-choice quizzes that can be accessed via web browser or the Kahoot app. Kahoot makes it easy to create, share, and play learning games or trivia quizzes in a minute. Kahoot is mostly used in special needs classes. They use Kahoots as a supplement to their lectures and classroom activities. Next, we have here podcast. Podcast is an episodic series of spoken word digital audio files that a user can download to a personal device for easy listening. A radio program is an example of a podcast. The role of podcast for future learning lies in improving the listening skills of students at any level. Many students are able to absorb more information when they listen than reading the content. Through podcast, students can listen to lectures anytime and wherever they are. Next, we have here Blogger. Blogger is a free Google service which provides users a simple and easy to use blogging interface. User can choose from a wide variety of templates and with just drag and drop functionality, one can set up and run the vlogs in few clicks. This is useful especially to teachers because they can use this to post assignments, upload documents, post announcements, and create portfolio for their students. Next, we have here Kaizena. Kaizena allows you to add audio comments to the content of your Google Documents. This is useful for teachers in delivering their feedback to their students. It is a free online tool that fosters social learning through feedback. These tools allows the instructors or teachers to provide multiple forms of feedback, including text comments, voice recording, attaching files, and rating student skills. And lastly, we have here Quizlet. Quizlet is a great collaborative formative assessment tool that is not only requires students to work together to achieve success, but also promotes mastery learning. It also encourages students to collaborate with their peers while reviewing and learning course concept. This is quality study tool that helps students learn and memorize facts.
Good day, everyone. I am Laica Charmaine Gaspay for the continuation of the report I will be discussing about technology integration. So, technology integration is the use of technology resources, computers, mobile devices like smartphones and tablets, digital cameras, social media platforms and networks, software applications, the internet, and etc. in daily classroom practices and in the management of a school. So, successful technology integration is achieved when use of technology is routine, transparent, accessible, and readily available for the task at hand, and supporting the curricular goals and helping the students to effectively reach their goals. When technology integration is at its best, a child or a teacher doesn't stop to think that he or she is using a technology tool. It is a second nature. And students are often more effectively engaged in projects when technology tools are seamless part of the learning process. On the other hand, technology integration also means seamless integration is when students are not only using technology daily, but have access to a variety of tools that match the task at hand, provide them the opportunity to build a deeper understanding of content. But we define technology integration can also depend on the kinds of technology available, how much access one has to technology, and who is using the technology. For instance, in a classroom with only interactive whiteboard and one computer, learning is likely to remain teacher-centric, and integration will revolve around teacher needs, not necessarily student needs. Still, there are ways to implement even an interactive whiteboard to make it a tool for your students. Willingness to embrace change is also a major requirement for successful technology integration. Technology is continuously and rapidly evolving. It is an ongoing process and demands continual learning. According to National Educational Technology Standards for Student and International Society for Technology and Education, effective integration of technology is achieved when students are able to select technology tools to help them obtain information in a timely manner, analyze and synthesize the information, and present it professionally. The technology should become an integral part of how the classroom functions, as accessible as all other classroom tools. It means that when effectively integrated into the curriculum, technology tools can extend learning in powerful ways. These tools can provide students and teachers with 1. Accessible, up-to-date, and primary source material. The second is methods of collecting or recording data. The third is ways to collaborate with students, teachers, and experts around the world. The fourth is the opportunity for expressing understanding via multimedia. And the fifth is learning that is relevant and assessment that is authentic. And the last one is training for publishing and presenting their new knowledge. So now let us move on to the types of technology integration. It is sometimes difficult to describe how technology can impact learning because of the term technology integration. It's such a broad umbrella that covers so many varied tools and practices. There are many ways technology can become an integral part of the learning process. Just a few of these ways are listed below, but now technology tools and ideas emerge daily. So the first type is online learning and blended classrooms, just like what we are having right now. We're having online classes. So, the online learning environment relies on computers connected to the internet. Blended learning, therefore, provides the best of both worlds for students and lecturers alike, as participants are granted and hands-on experience of the face-to-face class, as well as the convenience and flexibility of the online environment. Next is project-based activities incorporating technology. This helps students to understand the real-life implications of their project, and it also develops digital literacy as students search online for the results they want. Then we have the game-based learning and assessment. It is the gamification of instructional activities is a useful approach that educators can use to promote more efficient learning environments by increasing problem solving, critical thinking, and competence in the classroom. So the next is learning with mobile and handheld devices. The benefits of this technology is making things easier, faster, better, easier communication, faster access to information, better and more comfortable studying, and etc. Then the next is instructional tools like interactive whiteboard and student response systems. This allows the instructors to pose questions and gather students' responses during a lecture. The next to the list is student-created media like podcasts, videos, or slideshow. It involves a high degree of engagement, promotes individual learning, social interaction, and immersion, and is highly customizable and collaborative. Lastly is collaborative online tools like Wiki or Google Docs. These tools can help you achieve efficient and time-saving results. These tools can work in real time. We are now moving on to the frameworks of technology integration. There are two commonly used models for technology integration. It is known as the summer and the TPAC. The summer means substitution, augmentation, modification, redefinition. And the TPAC means technological pedagogical content knowledge. So let us define both of the frameworks. So this is the summer model, or the substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. It is created by Dr. Ruben Puentedura. It guides the process of reflecting on how we are integrating technology into our classrooms. The ultimate goal of this technology integration is to completely redefine how we teach and learn, and to do the things that we never could before the technology was in our hands. And this is the TAC framework, or the technological pedagogical content knowledge. It lays out the knowledge that the educators need in order to successfully integrate technology into their teaching. The last part of my report is about the levels of technology integration. The first level is sparse. It is where technology is rarely used or available. Students are rarely using technology to complete assignments or projects. The next one is the basic. Technology is used or available occasionally or often in a lab rather than the classroom. Students are comfortable with one or two tools and sometimes use these tools to create projects that show understanding of content. The third one is comfortable. Technology is used in the classroom on a fairly regular basis. Students are comfortable with a variety of tools and often use these tools to create projects that show understanding of content. And the last level is seamless. It is where students employ technology daily in the classroom using a variety of tools to complete assignments and create projects that shows a deep understanding content. So that's all for my report about technology integration. Thank you so much for listening and have a nice day.
Good day everyone, I am Erika Epil and today we will tackle about digital learning resources. What comes in your mind when you hear digital learning resources? Okay, so let us define first what is learning resources. When we say digital learning resources, it is any type of learning that is accompanied by technology or by instructional practice that makes effective use of technology. It encompasses the application of a wide spectrum of practices, including blended and virtual learning. It also refers to digital resources such as applications, software, programs, or websites that engage students in learning activities and support students' learning goals. In digital learning resources, students can create a varied learning experience. Digital resources are flexible. The students can pause, fast forward, or rewind them reflecting their own preferences. Digital resources are asynchronous. The learner can access them at any time, not just in the classroom. Here are some examples of digital learning resources. First is Google Docs. It is an online word processor that lets you create and format documents and work with other people. It also brings your document to life with smart editing and styling tools to help you easily format text and paragraphs. Google Documents is a free online collaboration tool that allows you to create documents or spreadsheets and work on them from the cloud. To have access to Google Documents, you will need to have a Gmail account first. Second is SurveyMonkey. It is an online survey development, cloud-based software as a service company providing an online survey tool for organizations. It offers data analysis, sample selection, bias elimination, and data representation tools. SurveyMonkey has provided some positive aspects, such as easier access, avoidance of input and data coding errors, a faster distribution, and saving time cost. However, some negative characteristics have been detected, for instance, response rates and the length of the questionnaire. Next is electronic book. It is also known as a book. It is a book publication made available in digital form, consisting of text, images, or both, readable on the flat panel display of computers or other electronic devices. Electronic books are also used to make out of print work available, or to bypass print altogether, as with new works by aspiring authors. Electronic books can consist simply of the electronic text or may also contain extras such as audio, video, or hyperlinks. How do I read an ebook? These are small handheld computers that mimic books. Blogs or student journals. A blog is an online diary or journal located on a website. It allows students opportunities to share and or reflect on their learning experiences, such as student who uses a journal entry to reflect on her understanding of particular math concepts. Blogs offer many benefits for education. It promotes autonomous learning by providing opportunities for students to take more control of their learning. It also motivates students to become better readers and writers. It promotes discussion among students and encourages the use of the internet and the web among students and teachers. Why is digital learning important? Digital learning helps to enhance learning experiences, save teachers time, enable teachers to better tailor learning to student needs, aid in tracking student progress, provide transparency into the learning process for all stakeholders, and much more. And according to George Corus, technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of a great teachers can be transformational. Thank you and God bless.
Good day, everyone. I am Patrick Collins Ditalo, Bachelor of Special Needs Education, ES21. In the previous discussion, you were informed on the different digital learning resources in enhancing teaching and learning. Now, we will go back to the traditional or the conventional learning resources that has of big impact, importance, help, and relevance in enhancing the teacher's way of teaching and students' way of learning. So, let's start. Before we formally introduce or proceed with our lesson, it is important for us to know about the simple definition of what is teaching resources. So, in a very simplistic manner, we can define teaching aids as tools which the teachers or tutors, whoever is involved in the field of teaching, including laboratory assistant in the science labs of schools, to help the learners in a way that they can make easily understand and comprehend what is taught to them. Teaching aids has the ability to help students improve their different skills like in reading, writing, and in speaking. According to Sin, an online academic blog author, in an easy illustrative way, the teaching aids can reinforce whatever the ideas, facts, or skills that have already been learned by these students. The user-friendly and interactive teaching aids help to remove the anxiety or fear, boredom, or any other complex feeling which the students may develop while learning their subjects of study. There are two learning resources or learning aids that we are going to discuss. The first one is the digital learning resources, which was discussed previously, and the conventional learning resources, which we will be discussing today. Conventional learning resources. The usual traditional teaching aids and resources. It is the traditional, the normal, and the standard use of learning resources or devices and procedures that may help to make teaching and learning more interesting, more stimulating, more reinforcing, and more effective. With the given definition, we can say that conventional learning resources are those standard resources even before the rise of technology. It means that these are the learning resources that are before the internet age. Nowadays, we are really dependent on the use of technology in teaching and in finding learning resources, but using the traditional and the conventional way is more accurate and more reliable, since these materials like books, magazines, dictionaries, and many more undergo different process and different review from different professionals. Meaning, using the conventional learning resources, it does not only make students learn easier since the interaction is there, but as well, we are sure that the information we give them are legit and reliable. There are a lot of conventional learning resources that we teachers can use and incorporate in our teaching. It will take us a lot of time if we discuss all of them one by one. So, We will discuss a few. These are flip charts, Realia, and other learning resources such as flashcards, charts, and puzzles. So, let's start with the flip charts. What is then a flip chart? It is simply a series of sheets of paper bound together which can be flipped over one at a time to show a series of thoughts, pictures, outline points, questions, cartoons, symbols, or almost anything that helps teach the lesson. Flipchart is a conventional learning resources where we use or incorporate drawing and visuals in order to visually represent ideas, thoughts, theories, and variety of topics. Flipcharts provide more interactions towards its listener. Using visual facilitation and pre-drawn flipchart not only helps draw in learners, but makes it easier for them to remember the concepts they've just learned. The simple pictures and the words about the topic offer an easy way to people to link the concept to the picture. This visual aid helps the learners see what they are learning. As what it is said, pictures are worth 1,000 words. So, in using flipchart as learning resources, we are able to help students retain more information because of the use of visuals. Next is realia. These are objects or activities used to relate classroom teaching to the real life. Realia refers to authentic objects from real life that one uses in the classroom to teach one specific concept. Realia can be both physical and virtual, as long as it's something used in the real world. Real physical objects or realia can be an effective media in teaching and writing, especially in teaching descriptive paragraph writing, because it can stimulate students to use their 5 senses to find the idea about the content of writing. By using their sense of sight and touch, they can easily organize the idea in writing. This type of conventional learning resource is the use of real-life objects in teaching. With this, it is easier for the students to recall information because of the tangible representation of the idea. It can make the learning experience more memorable and create connections between objects and vocabulary words or other language concepts. For in-person classes, it adds a kinesthetic element for people who learn better with hands-on activities. For online classes, it provides a visual aid to engage students. Additionally, realia is more dynamic than a written word or flashcard used to teach a concept. Some examples of realia may include those that are already in the classroom, such as chairs, tables, books, chalks, and many more. Also, it can include those from outside class, such as colorful brochures, stuffed toys, or animals, magazines, souvenirs, and many more. Well, any of these will work for both an in-person and an online class. For the latter, simply hold the objects up to your screen. You can also make use of virtual realia in the online classroom. Virtual realia refers to authentic resources found online, such as advertisements, photographs, menus, receipts, or maps. Which example of this is now I am using virtual realia of pictures to provide ideas on what conventional learning resources are. Similar to using props in teaching online, incorporating realia into the virtual classroom engages students and makes for a livelier class. Aside from the two conventional learning resources mentioned above, flip charts and realia, there are more conventional learning resources we can imagine. It will take a lot of time discussing each, so we'll just give focus to the other three conventional learning resources that, as future teachers, we can incorporate. These are flashcards, charts, and puzzles. In more than 100 of conventional learning resources we can use, I decided to pick these three because I can see that these three other conventional learning resources is as effective as the previous two. First is a flashcard. A flashcard or flashcard is a card bearing information as words or numbers on either or both sides, used in the classroom drills or in private study. One side can have a question and on the other side an answer. Flashcards can bear vocabulary, historical dates, formulate, or any subject matter that can be learned via a question and answer format. Flashcards are widely used as learning drill to aid memorization. Flashcards are an excellent learning resource because it can be used when a learner is unable to grasp the meaning of a word. They can be an excellent learning and teaching tools, especially when introducing new vocabulary or drilling familiar words. Besides being used by the teacher, they can also be used in a variety of activities and even posted around the classroom for reference of the students. Next is a chart. What is a chart? It is a good means or aid of teaching. It brings environment to the process of teaching inside the class indirectly. A chart is a useful way to present and display information or instructions, especially in a classroom or other educational situation. It can range from a large wall chart to a single piece of paper. A common effective teaching method is to use visual representations or visual presentations in the classroom. Charts and diagrams are especially helpful as they enable students to see ideas visually laid out in an organized way. Also, visual tools can help the students process content and to make connections more easily. Lastly, puzzles. What comes into your mind when you hear the word puzzles? Yes, a puzzle is an activity problem designed to test ingenuity or knowledge, meaning puzzles are made and are incorporated in teaching to test knowledge and cognitive skills of students. Puzzles comes in a variety like crossword, jigsaw, maze puzzles, and many more. These and other conventional learning resources helps in strengthen the connections between brain cells and create new connections for improved cognitive speed. Also, puzzle teaches young children about the concept of a whole and that each piece is a fraction of a bigger picture. It also helps develop basic skills such as shape recognition, concentration, goal setting, patience, and a sense of achievement which will stand children in good place for school. That's it for the conventional learning resources. To wrap up the whole discussion, conventional learning resources or the standard learning resources comes in different variety, types or kinds, which means that as future educators, we have a lot of choices on what methods or resources we're going to use. After all, these learning resources are intended in order to make our teaching effective and in order for our students to learn and grow. Thus, in a world full of trends, there is nothing wrong to remain classic. Thank you very much for listening. I will end this discussion by saying being traditional is not being outdated. It is just a lifestyle that never forgot its roots. Thank you. For questions and clarifications, do not hesitate and feel free to ask. Again, I am Patrick Collins Ditalo. Good day.